This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the 8th episode of The Bad Batch Reunited. And I'd have to say, there are very major spoilers in this episode, which is, in my opinion, the best episode of the series. Finally taking down the epic premiere and putting this as the best episode. So, let's go into this, starting with how we began. We begin with Omega being taught by Wrecker how to disable an explosive, and Omega attempts to do it, but fails. She runs and hides for cover, and we learn it's a smoke bomb. And we have the funniest scenes in the show where Wrecker explains how he's not crazy and wanted to give Omega a live explosive to try to defuse. And it's really funny. I really liked that scene. It was so good. It was both funny and, of course, it shows that Wrecker isn't, a complete idiot. As you think that, he doesn't really think things through. And with him, you could actually think it's possible he used a live explosive with Omega, but thankfully he didn't, because I'm pretty sure she wasn't hiding far away enough to survive the explosion. But that was just such a well done scene and such a well done episode. Let's continue on with the episode as we see both Wrecker and I believe it was Echo have to take down the Scrappers, who they think haven't reported anything yet, but we know from the previous episode they already reported it, and they were kind of just pushing their luck watching them. But now we cut to Kamino. Or actually, we began at Kamino, but I had wanted to mention this one, that other stuff first. When on Kamino, we learned that they have definitely confirmed the Bad Batch are on Bracca, and Crosshair goes to lead a team after them. And this leads to a pretty intense scene where the Kaminoans want everything to go well for them. They want the Bad Batch brought alive, but Admiral Rampart wants them brought in dead. He doesn't think that there's any use in traitors, and doesn't know, obviously, that the Kaminoans have alternative plans for Omega. And we have the ultimate reveal. The Kaminoans were the ones who hired the bounty hunters. Yeah, it was very obvious. I'm pretty sure you had to be pretty dumb to not realize that they were the ones behind it. Although there might still be a second person like Boba Fett who is sending them out. It was very obvious the ones putting out the bounty were the Kaminoans. There was, a small chance of the Empire. And when I mean small, I mean extremely small. But it was almost so obvious that it would have been a bad twist not to reveal it, because it would almost make no sense. They would have to do a lot more explaining, and that wasn't really set up. But we continue back to Bracca, where they are going to quickly scavenge the ship for both explosives, weapons, and any tactical information they could get from the bridge. And it's clearly obvious that only a few weeks, or perhaps a month, have passed since this Star Destroyer had to crash there very recently for this tail to still be good, unless they were connecting to all Imperial servers through a Republic ship that likely went down before the Empire was formed, or right in the beginning process of it. We're not, fully sure. But it seems pretty obvious that this ship crashed. And the reason that it hasn't been scavenged yet is because of the Dianoga we saw last week, which is officially confirmed here to be a Dianoga, and not, as some other people thought, that giant monster Starlight-like creature from Fallen Order, which is supposedly has to have belts across the planet. It's supposed to be like, a mega Sarlacc-like creature, but it is not that. It is a Dianoga, unless someone like Tech, who is very technical and knows a lot of stuff, was wrong, or if it's just a mistake by the creators. But I don't think it is, since Dianogas were in lots of trash compactors of ships, so it does make sense. But let's go back to the plot, because I've only went over like the first 15 minutes and like 7 minutes, so let's try to get a little faster on this. We continue on, where Omega sees that the proximity sensor is going off, and 3 Republic attack shuttles land. They're not really, Republic attack shuttles anymore, but that's the name we know them by. And it lets out mainly clone troopers, but also Crosshair's new elite squad. And they go on to start surrounding the ship and entering in. They also sent out 1 attack shuttle full of troopers to go and find the Bad Batch's shuttle and secure it, which they do find. And right after, Tech is able to hack into comms and learns that they're trying to be cut off in the hangar. So they try to get out another way, but Crosshair is smarter than that and poses a real threat, realizing they have hacked into the comms, and tracks them down to the artillery section, which is too far of a drop for them to jump out of, but there is no real way for them to escape. They're fully surrounded until Tech informs Echo he should fire the cannon using his comlink to hack in. Echo thinks that this is ridiculous because the entire room would start to collapse, and Tech says that's the plan. That's really their only way out of this, which, luckily enough, does work for them, and they're able to escape into the Twin Ion Engine, or just the Ion Engine, since I'm kind of thinking of TIE Fighters, so it's probably not a Twin Ion Engine, it's probably just a regular Ion Engine. And as they're trying to escape through basically one of the engines that comes out of it, they are figured out by Crosshair, who has sent one of his troopers up to the bridge and told them to start up the reactor, which was powering the engine, and he was going to burn everyone alive inside of the engine. the Bad Batch are able to plant explosives around the inside, and after blowing it, they are able to fall down and not be affected. But this has a very negative effect on Crosshair, who gets hit with the full force of the engine because of this plan, being severely burned, and getting the first of 2 real Vader references in this episode, as he is pretty badly injured, and later has to have a breathing mask put on him to help with his injuries. But we return to the Batch, who are able to escape without any more incident from any Imperial troopers for now. But Hunter and Omega, who were separated, get to the ship first, where they see all the Imperial guards have been taken out, wondering what's going on. We get the biggest reveal of this episode, that Cad Bane is still alive, and that the old Clone Wars unfinished episode, where he dies at the hand of Boba Fett, is either no longer canon, or is going to take place later down the line, possibly towards the end of this season. And it was amazing to see him. Cad Bane is one of the best bounty hunters, not only in universe, which he is the best between the times of both Fets, but also out of universe, where he has an amazing look, only beat out by the Fets, and he's one of the most dangerous bounty hunters, who was able to go in fights with Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Quinlan Vos, who also Ahsoka, who seemingly all survived the Jedi Purge, although Anakin did become Vader, which is kind of funny when you think of it. I think that every Jedi that Cad Bane fought in the series actually ended up surviving Order 66, which is pretty crazy when you think of it. Unless there's one I'm forgetting about in, like, maybe an episode that I don't remember as much. But I'm pretty confident of that. Unless he killed, specific Jedi, which I'm sure he did. And, going back to it, he is, of course, going in to take a standoff with Hunter, which is a very intense scene, which I believe is an exact recreation of his death from the Clone Wars deleted scenes and episodes we watch as the two face off, and they both draw at the same time, but Hunter is nearly fatally killed, and Cad Bane is able to stun Omega after she shoots off the leg of his droid, who is likely a rebuilt Todo 360, which is the droid he used to bomb the Jedi Temple. And, of course, that droid was destroyed, but I believe it did say Todo 360 in the credits, which means he has rebuilt the droid. And I believe all the episodes we saw him in with Todo in the Clone Wars and later seasons all took place before the Holocron heist episode, where Todo was blown up. Although I am not fully sure, since the Clone Wars, especially through seasons 1 through 3, mainly takes place pretty majorly out of order, since I believe the first episodes are Season 3, Episode 1 and 2, Rookies, and well, season 1 episode, no, it's episode 1, and then I think it's maybe followed by the Clone Wars movie and stuff, but it is very interesting with that timeline. And to go back to it, honestly, I think it's really interesting that now Omega has been captured, and I loved kind of like a second Vader shot of it's a Vader-like shot, where we see Hunter only able to really see through his helmet, like he is trapped. An amazing first-person view, so we could see what it's truly like through the eyes of a clone trooper, specifically Hunter, as he's dragged away and is forced to tell him that Omega has been captured and they need to save her from this new bounty hunter, who of course we know as Cad Bane, but we don't know as Cad Bane. So I'm guessing in the next episode they're gonna have to return to Sid and both use the intel and any surviving equipment they have to pay off their debt and use that to also help them find and save Omega. As I'm guessing that Sid is going to first have them pay off the money they owe her before she helps them, since she is, will probably be a little more concerned with the money. But I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how this continues, and I'm very excited for next week's episode. As I said earlier, this is my favorite episode of the series, and I can't wait to see where it continues. And to finish up, looking at some of the last points of this episode, I just really enjoyed some of the scenes, especially how both Hunter and Crosshair had similar things to Vader, with one of them getting a view of being trapped in a suit, and the other being burned and needing to be having medical treatment, although it was not as bad as what Anakin had happened to him when he was finally transformed into Vader. It still is pretty bad, and I also love that scene at the beginning with the mine. And ultimately, I think this was such a good episode. Definitely, to me, the best of the series. Of course, I am excited to see where it continues. And I do wonder if they will team up with Boba Fett to be able to save Omega. And since Boba Fett is a far more honorable person who definitely doesn't like doing jobs that are not honorable, like kidnapping and delivering children, he may be against it. And honestly, I feel like that's what they may go to, so we can have that confrontation between both Boba and Cad Bane happen, and be our first major tie-in to the Book of Boba Fett. Either that, or Cad Bane might be kept alive to be in that show, and could be an antagonist of Boba, although it would be a little odd since he would be definitely out of his prime and would not be as good of a hunter at the time. Although I'm not fully sure about his species, since I know the bounty hunter Embo was still active far after Order 66 and actually helped some of the rebels who are now Republic members around the time of the Battle of Jakku. And that was in the Aftermath books. But I'm guessing that, from what we could tell, we almost certainly know that Cad Bane's fate will either be decided in this, one way or the other. Will he survive to appear in Book of Boba Fett, or will he be killed by likely Boba Fett, who teams up with the Bad Batch for an honorable reason, and because they hire him? And I think that guess we'll do good once again to show how honorable of a character Boba is. And I think it'd be nice to see a few other bounty hunters, most likely Embo, who is another honorable and good bounty hunter, to team up with them. And I really want to see where this goes. The things I'm most excited for this episode is just so much. And I will see you soon in the next episode of Legends and Theories. I would like to apologize because I made a mistake in what my LEGO review would be this week. I thought it was supposed to be General Grievous the Starfighter, which is next week. It was the Duel on Mustafar, and I kind of made like a few months of those videos up to about September, so I couldn't remember exactly. And although I did make a little mistake, it is fine. And really, I'm just very excited for the show to continue. And we'll have next week where I'll be reviewing a lot of Batman stuff, including the Batman animated series, Batman Arkham series, and potentially the Long Halloween Part 1, as long as the DVD is out next week, because I really only watch stuff on DVD. I usually get the DVD because I like having the physical copy and the digital copy of it. So if that's out, I will also review that. And continue to review other things. Let me know if you want me to review The Godfather, which I watched for the first time last night. If I do, I'll record it and review it, not next week, since I already have a lot of Batman content planned. But if not, I'll review it almost certainly the week after, which I think is a good idea, because that is a classic movie, and I really did enjoy it. I'll probably wait until I can see part 2, and I'll review parts 1 and 2. Since I heard part 3 is pretty bad, and I'll review definitely the first 2 parts together. But I will see you in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please like the video, leave some comments, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends, and may the Force be with you